As many of you know, both Bryan Singer and Fox are looking to hold on to the one franchise that's still making them money, and they've been going about this by trying to profusely apologize to the fan base. First, we saw this when they wiped out most of the canon with the events of Days of Future Past, and now we're seeing it with a new adaptation of a beloved character that was previously handled poorly under their tenure. Now, I'll be honest, my knowledge of Deadpool is cursory at best. I bought some of the comics towards the end of what I like to call the Deadpool boom, where there were like 5 different Deadpool books. I mean, there was Deadpool, Deadpool Team Up, Deadpool Core, Deadpool Max, Deadpool Family. I know there's probably a few others because there were also a bunch of one-shots as well, especially since that was during the Point One initiative. I mean, you want to get an idea of how old this was when this happened? Well, this was back when Grace Randolph was the host of Marvel's The Watcher. That's how far back this happened. And I understand why people like the character, and I can understand why people were outraged by his portrayal in X-Men Origins Wolverine, including Ryan Reynolds. Much like the video game based on the character, this film pretty much contains everything we've come to expect from, well, anything associated with Deadpool. It's got the over-the-top gory action and the systematic destruction of the fourth wall. All of the elements are here and they are utilized beautifully. And it's also nice to see Deadpool play off other people within the X-Men universe, especially Colossus, who's no longer just a pointless cameo in this film. The film as a whole plays more akin to a comedy than an action film, as we start out with the comedic first act, dramatic second act, and then comedic third act. However, it works here because the story is being told out of sequence, since we start off in medias res, and the whole dramatic second act, where it's the whole really dark, grim parts, are basically the moments where we're learning about the origin of Deadpool, which, once again, has been changed because of the retcon from Days of Future Past. So there's no mention of Weapon X here, it's a completely different shadowy organization, and, well, I think it works, because another thing a lot of comedies get wrong when they do the whole dramatic second act is that for the most part they usually do it when the main subject of comedic happenings is already underway, but here, we start out in the middle of the action, go back and see what led up to the action, and then we rejoin the action in progress, so it doesn't really feel out of place. Not to mention that, well, the thing that carries this film and makes that part more bearable is Ryan Reynolds' performance, because even during the dramatic second act, he's still cracking wise, even as he's, well, being tortured. So, that's why I think it really works here with its in medias res, out of sequence sort of storytelling, especially with the frequent fourth wall breaks and a lot of the, well, one-liners. Speaking of which, you can really tell that Ryan Reynolds is giving this his 100%, as he has really good comedic timing in this film and plays off of the other actors really, really well, which is also important. I mean, it's one thing to have one character say funny stuff and do fourth wall jokes, but I think the funniest moments are when Deadpool is playing off of Colossus, because Colossus here is basically playing almost the Boy Scout, the hero who's trying to basically set Deadpool on the right path, and then Deadpool is basically, well, flipping him off most of the movie. Honestly, I can't really think of anything else to really say aside from the fact that I really enjoyed this film. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of an asterisk to my review because, well, I was already familiar with the character going in. I had read the comics, I kind of knew how he worked, so I knew what to expect and what standard to hold it to. Whereas the uninitiated might find the frequent tonal shifts and the frequent fourth wall jokes a little bit jarring. Now, to kind of give you an idea, if you're watching this and you have no idea who Deadpool is, basically, imagine if Quentin Tarantino decided to make a superhero movie. This is probably the movie you would get. That said, this film is rated R for the reason. I mean, I've mentioned the aforementioned gory violence, but there's also a lot of sex, a lot of nudity, and really anything that you can think of that would be in an R-rated film is in this movie. So this is absolutely not for children by any means. If you're a fan of Deadpool and you haven't already seen this film, go out and see it, you'll enjoy it. Now, if you're not a fan of Deadpool, but you are a fan of the X-Men, you'll probably enjoy the moments in this film where Deadpool is talking with Colossus, who is basically desperately trying to get Deadpool to join the team, although I do have to kind of wonder what Scott would think if he actually got him on the team. I'm not sure he would get along with Deadpool that well, but that's just me. If you're not a fan of superhero films, then really there's not a lot for you here unless you're a fan of films like Kill Bill, The Interview, or to a lesser extent, the original Evil Dead movies. All of that said, Deadpool gets a 5 out of 5. So that's it for this episode of Romney's Reviews. Thank you for watching, and let me once again remind you that this film is not for children. I mean, I know there was that stupid petition to make a PG-13 version of Deadpool, but after seeing the film, that would have been impossible without completely undermining the character or cutting out whole sections of the film. You would basically just be left with the trailer. And besides, there's already a PG-13 version of Deadpool. He's called Spider-Man. So just watch Spider-Man if you want a PG-13 version of Deadpool. Personally, I would recommend Spider-Man 2. No, the Raimi version, not the Andrew Garfield version, because, I mean, the Andrew Garfield version, as I talked about, had the same problems that the third Raimi film had, where there were way too many villains, and even some of the jokes just